Welcome, Spore fans, creature creators, and artists alike. This video is a tutorial on how to do some of the more advanced creature creation techniques in the wonderful game of Spore. Our first technique involves the various limbs that you can use in this game. Now, once you place a limb on your creature, you have a certain amount of joint points that you can use to maneuver around and change the look of the creature's legs or arms. Some of them only have 2, you can see here, and some of them have up to 4. However, let's say you only want one with 1. In order to do this, you actually have to use another special technique, which is fairly often used, however it is still very useful. By holding Alt, you can click on and copy a limb. However, that only happens when you click on the top joint in the limb. If you want, let's say, to turn this leg into a leg with only 3 joints, you'd click here and move it here. And voila, 1, 2, 3. Now that's great and all, but there are legs in here with 3 joints already. So the way you can actually get an entirely new type of limb is by clicking copy on this joint here, dragging it up, and voila. Now you have a leg with only 2 joints, one at the hip, one at the foot. This can be useful for making smaller creatures that simply don't need as much leg space. Same with arms, same with the creepy and cute limbs. These can also be used on the creepy and cute limbs to get limbs that just have those further down limb joints without the rest of it getting in the way. As for our next technique, you can see when you click on a part that there are a few different sliders and things that you can use to change the shape. Up, down, forward and out, pitch and yaw. There are often other ones to go side to side. However, there is actually a way to get the more advanced tooltips. After clicking on a part, hold Tab. This way you can change the shape in a variety of ways. You can do pitch and yaw more easily. You can do this side-to-side slider to get different angles and things. This can also be very useful on the hands and feet, as normally you can go side to side with the hands, just spin them in a circle. However, with Tab, you can also make them go back, forward, as well as side to side. This gives you a lot more control when making limbs, especially also with feet. Some feet don't even really give you the option to change their angle. However, with holding Tab, you can make them go backwards, side to side, whatever you want. It can be very useful for making more unique and diverse creature designs. The next tip is a bit of a simpler one, and it only goes with eyes. However, there are a few specific eyes that you can use, especially in the creepy and cute parts pack, that can be compounded in very unique ways. For example, we can take these eyes, and you can see we can kind of get rid of the pupil there, and it makes the whole red part of the eye look like the pupil. Then we can use our copy tool to bring it up, place it behind the other eye, use our more advanced techniques here to get it positioned just so that the pupil is once again hidden. This is a great and easy way to make advanced compound eyes that can really make your creatures look more intimidating, more interesting, and more bug-like for those more insect-type creatures. The next technique is called part hiding. Say there's a part that you want, this is more specifically when you're actually playing the game, and you want its functionality, however you don't want it to actually appear on your creature. Let's say we really wanted spit, however we don't really want them to have a tail with a spitter on it. I'd much rather have a mace. So, a small spitter and a larger mace. That way you still have the spit move in the game. However, it really just looks like a mace. This can also be done with eyes. You can put them behind mouths. This is a very common one. That isn't the only way part stacking can be used, however. Let's say you want 2 parts to both be shown. You can get a specific part, put it like that, grab another part, make sure it's big enough so that you can see it over the first part, and then place it within the original part. That way you can have more complex looking structures all over your creature. Now, let's say I'm done with this creature. I like it, however, I want it to look a little bit more unique, have a little bit more of that physical diversity. A really easy and handy tool to have is by holding the A button, you can now drag and move specific parts without them having to interfere with their symmetrical counterpart. That way, you can maneuver specific limbs to be in different places. You can give them more unique stances, as well as simple physical differences, like, let's say I wanted him to have some sort of a protuberance on only one side. Let's just grab us a Rockney here, make it a bit bigger, and then while holding the A button, I can grab one and sell it. Now we just have one Rockney that is completely free moving. I can have it on one side without it being on the other. Let's say I want it on this side to be one of these, what are they called? A knurl down. And we can make it a bit bigger, and now we have two completely different parts on either side. This can really help to make your creatures look more dynamic in their world, as well as hold more specific poses. Now, for our last tip, this is actually technically a cheat. However, you can see in the top right that Spore has a complexity meter. It's a way of limiting your creature designing abilities so that they don't get too complex for the game to handle. However, we're in modern day. Our computers can handle a lot more. So there's a way to bypass this, at least partially. This way also gives us a way of getting extra cash. When you see in our bottom left here, we're out of our budget, our DNA budget. That means we simply cannot place any more parts, even if our complexity meter wasn't full. To bypass both of these things, you want to hold Control, Shift, C, and then, once this little command prompt is brought up, you want to type freedom. You can see it says editor limits are disabled. Now, this doesn't always work. Sometimes the Spore complexity meter just doesn't want to go up, however, it should give you a little extra wiggle room. But when it comes to DNA, you can use the cheat add DNA. That's 3 Ds, just to remember. Add DNA. Enter. And you can see I immediately got 150 DNA. Now you can press up on the arrow keys to get it again, and enter again. And you can mash these 2 keys as much as you want to get as much DNA as you can possibly imagine. Now, like I said, the complexity meter does provide a hard limit at a certain point. However, this does allow us to get however many more feathers and simple things that we want. And ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for our advanced tips and tricks in Spore video. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe, leave a like. If you did, I have more Spore content coming out soon. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.